You're listening to The Stephen Torriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Torriello Show. And now, here's Stephen.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. I wanted to go ahead and get you up to date with what we know so far from this psychopath that tried killing Donald Trump yesterday. I know it's been on the news all day, except for the Pravda media. They seem to be the only ones not concerned about a second assassination attempt on Donald Trump. So I want to go ahead and switch over to this right here. This is an article from the Epic Times. This just came out a few hours ago. And it says, a man in apparent second assassination attempt on Trump charged with federal gun crimes. And here he is right here. This dude is going to be spending a lot of time in prison. Look at this psychopath. So apparently, he has ties to Ukraine. Somehow, some way, the stuff is getting really weird. And I knew it would. I knew something wasn't right about this whole situation. Now, the thing is there's so much stuff coming out about this guy. Supposedly he was not drafting, but he was rounding up volunteers to go fight for Ukraine, as a volunteer mercenary group. Apparently this guy is a whack job when it comes to Ukraine and when it comes to Trump derangement syndrome. So officials say Ryan Weasley Roth spent 12 hours waiting for a clear shot to potentially assassinate the former president. The weird thing is, and this is what people are talking about, is Donald Trump didn't tell anybody he was going to be taking the day off yesterday to go golfing. This was something that was said in a very tight circle around Donald Trump, which is leading people to believe that there may be some type of mole on the inside of Trump's campaign. Now, this is where things start to get dicey, and we got to be careful we don't go down the wrong road with this. Eric Price, the former CEO of Blackwater, stated on a Twitter post, can we please not have the FBI being the ones investigating this second assassination attempt, because we just won't ever find out what happened. Now, the reason why people are kind of iffy on whether it's a government job or not is this guy's ties to Ukraine, the State Department, stuff like that. I mean, you have to know a pretty select group of people if you're going to be getting flights and passports in and out of war zones and taking volunteer groups over there to fight in a war. Like, there's a lot of stuff. It's not just getting on a plane and going over there. And apparently that's what this guy was doing. However, a lot of people that said they talked to this guy personally said that he's just a whack job and he was just kind of puffing his chest. The New York Times did an article. They spoke with him, and Newsweek did an article with him. So if he's just puffing out his chest and he's a nobody and he's just talking smack and saying he, pretty much hyping himself up, making him look a lot bigger than what he actually is, then why would these two news outlets do a piece on him? So either they were lying then or they're lying now, because now the media is trying to downplay it as if he's just a nobody and he is just some whack job that has been bragging about volunteering soldiers for the war in Ukraine. So anyways, let's get into this article. So 2 federal gun charges have been filed against the man suspected of plotting to assassinate former President Donald Trump at Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. Ryan Weasley, it's either Weasley or Wesley, Ryan Wesley Ruth, 58 years old, of Hawaii, faces the felony charges of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number, according to an unsealed court documents, which means a obliterated serial number, which means the serial number was filed off. Essentially, so it's an untraceable gun, which means it most likely came from the black market, because if it was a ghost gun, they don't come with serial numbers at all. And here's the thing. How the hell did he get one of these rifles in Florida? How do you get a gun as a convicted felon? It is not easy. The only way you're getting a rifle like this, which seems to be a SKS style rifle, AK-47, like that type of variant, is the black market. That's it. You're not going to the gun store as a convicted felon and getting a rifle like this. You're just not. It's an impossibility unless, the gun store owner wants to risk his license and prison time selling a gun to somebody he doesn't know or some whack job from Hawaii. A lot of stuff isn't adding up. And this is why a lot of people, this is when you get conspiracy theories, man. The American people are very, very intuitive. They want to know what is going on. I personally thought the sheriff did a pretty good job yesterday answering the questions that he did. I thought the Secret Service did a pretty good job actually spotting the barrel in a bush that was 200 yards away. That's incredible to me. So I actually gave the Secret Service props yesterday, and I still do. I think they did an incredible job, but here's the thing. How was that guy able to get there in the first place? Apparently, he stalked the golf course for hours, and here's the even more weird thing. Is nobody knew other than Donald Trump's tight circle that he was actually going to take the day off yesterday of campaigning and go to the golf course. So this guy just happened to be at the golf course. He happened to know that Donald Trump was going to take a day off. I don't know, man. This is again, very weird story, but I will say, if you're asking me if I think it's an inside job, I don't think it's an inside job. For number one, if the federal government, the bureaucracy, the deep state, the swamp, the establishment, if they were to hire a person to assassinate a former president, they're not going to be hiring these types of people, man. The job would have been done last time. So anyways, getting back into this, the first charge carries a maximum penalty of $250,000 in fines, 15 years in prison, and 3 years of supervised release. The second charge carries a possible 5-year sentence, $250,000 in fines, and 3 years of supervised. This guy's going to be spending the rest of his life in prison, pretty much. The criminal complaint filed in the Southern District of Florida was unsealed on September 16th after Ruth's arraignment in a West Palm Beach courtroom. According to the complaint, the U.S. Secret Service agent walking the perimeter of the Trump International spotted a barrel of a SKS-style rifle poking out along the tree line. Again, that to me is just incredible. After the agent fired in the direction of the rifle, a witness spotted a male fleeing the area on foot and then in a Nissan SUV bearing the license plate of a stolen Ford truck, according to the complaint. At around 2:14 p.m., officers from the Martin County Sheriff's Office pulled Ruth over as he was traveling northbound on I-95, and the earlier witness identified him as the suspect seen leaving the golf club, the complaint states. That's right by me, man. I'm in Martin County. I'm right on the border of Martin County, man. Right by 95. It's crazy. So body camera footage shows heavily armed officers in bulletproof vests taking Ruth into custody. Cell phone records investigators obtained from T-Mobile placed Ruth along the perimeter of the Trump International for roughly 12 hours from 1:51 a.m. to 1:31 p.m. when the incident occurred. What? The guy was in the bushes for 12 hours? This dude is a nut job. See, this is what Trump derangement syndrome does to you, ladies and gentlemen. It turns you into a psychopath. The complaint also details Ruth's prior conviction in December 2002 in Greensboro, North Carolina, for possession of a weapon of mass death and destruction. The charge, a Class F felony, is punishable up to 59 months incarceration. Law enforcement also show a March 2010 conviction on multiple counts of possession of stolen goods, a Class H felony, punishable by up to 39 months incarceration. This guy is a loser, man. At his September 16th arraignment, Ruth told Magistrate Judge Ryan McCabe that he has a 25-year-old son, earns about $3,000 a month, and has no assets besides a truck in Hawaii worth roughly $1,000. It could be the same white Ford truck that the Associated Press photographed outside Ruth's home in Kauai, Hawaii, which bears a Biden-Harris bumper sticker. There you go, folks. The leftist media has psychologically and emotionally broken people to a point to where they want to pick up arms in order to assassinate Donald Trump. That is what the media has done to people. And there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out there in the country today that are sad that this guy was not able to assassinate Donald Trump. We have a population that is deeply, deeply emotionally broken in this country, and it is all to blame on the media. This is what they've done with their lies, with their gaslighting, with their constant insightful rhetoric, calling Donald Trump Hitler, comparing him to Mussolini, saying he's the biggest threat to democracy. This is what you get. You get Biden-Harris supporters losing their freaking minds, grabbing SKS rifles, and laying on top of rooftops and in bushes trying to kill him. So are you happy, media? Trust me, folks, they did not want to admit that this was a second assassination attempt because it gives people sympathy for Donald Trump, and the media doesn't get what they actually want, which is Donald Trump gone forever. And so, as you can see, we have a very, very, very dark media that is facilitating all of this. I blame 100% on the media. There's no way this guy would fly to the United States from Hawaii, find a rifle, and hide in the bushes for 12 hours if he did not feel like the media was going to hold him up on their shoulders and idolize him and worship him for generations. That is what these people think. Oh, and believe me, if this guy were to assassinate Donald Trump, he would be considered a hero in the eyes of the left. Trust me, I know people that are very, very angry that Donald Trump has not been assassinated either one of these times. They're very sick and disturbed people, and I tell them to their face they're very sick and disturbed people. And they don't think there's anything wrong with it. Even though these are people that have never wished death upon anybody in their whole life, even though that these people have no reason to wish death on Donald Trump, they don't know why. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a psychological mental illness. Our leftist Pravda media, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, has psychologically and emotionally broken millions of Americans with their constant gaslighting and lies. This is what happens when you spew and spoon-feed people propaganda every single day. This is what you get. So Ruth will be represented by a public defender. He is due back in court for his detention hearing September 23rd. The FBI is leading the ongoing probe with the assistance from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives and the U.S. Secret Service. Attorney General Merrick Garland told the Associated Press the Justice Department will bring every available resource to bear as the investigation continues. Yeah, I'm sure you are, buddy. We are grateful that the former president is safe, Garland said. I'm sure you are. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the difference between these two would-be assassins trying to kill Donald Trump with a gun and what Merrick Garland and Alvin Bragg and Letitia James are trying to do with the court system? What is the difference? Are they both not trying to take Donald Trump's life? One is trying to do it in the form of a bullet, which is instantaneous, and the other one is trying to lock him up in prison for the rest of his life. What is the difference? Merrick Garland and all these hack attorney generals, all these Trump deranged lawyers and judges, they have been psychologically and emotionally broken, just like these two would-be assassins. We have never seen so much hatred for one man in our lifetimes. The only explanation for this is because the media has been pumping these people with hateful rhetoric for 8 years. Constant propaganda. You know, if you say it enough, it starts to become true. And if you tell a bunch of people that are already very, very biased against Donald Trump, and every single day they turn on the news, their CNNs and ABCs and MSNBCs, and they hear the news talking about how Donald Trump is such a threat to democracy and how he's the next coming Hitler and Mussolini and how he calls all immigrants criminals and rapists. The lies. All of this hate-filled rhetoric that has brainwashed these people to the point to where they want to see Donald Trump dead are all lies. It is propaganda. This is what disgusts me the most. None of it's even true. And I want to get into that in a second. So Jeffrey Veltri, special agent in charge of the FBI's Miami field office, confirmed that investigators are treating the event as an apparent attempted assassination. Okay, blah, blah, blah. The FBI also received a 2019 tip that Ruth, a convicted felon, was illegally in possession of a firearm, Veltri said. However, when the FBI followed up on the complaint, Veltri said the complaint, quote, did not verify that he or she had furnished the initial information. Investigators are also examining Ruth's cellular data to determine movements leading up to the incident. As for the security that was in place during Trump's golf outing, Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe advised that the agency employed a counter-snipers, counter-surveillance, counter-assault teams, and drones to protect the former president. Rowe said Trump was moving through the fifth fairway when an agent was conducting a sweep of the sixth green. When the alleged gunman was spotted, the suspect did not fire off any shots, and he did not have a direct line of sight to Trump. With reports of gunfire, the former president's close protection detail immediately evacuated the president to a safe location. So this is what gets sketchy. Ruth's background. Unlike Thomas, I don't even like saying his name. Unlike the first would-be assassin of Donald Trump, the deceased gunman who attempted to assassinate Trump in July, there is more publicly available information about Ruth. Records show that Ruth spent most of his life living in North Carolina, where he ran a roofing business before moving to Hawaii in 2018. Ruth's LinkedIn profile lists him as a current owner of a Camp Box Honolulu, a company that builds tiny homes and sheds for the less fortunate, since May 2018. In his bio, he expresses that he is eager to join any monumental-worthy cause to bring out the real change in our world, and is willing to relocate to do so. And amid the war in Ukraine, he did just that, according to various media interviews. In a June 2022 interview with Newsweek, he detailed his move to Ukraine to assist in the conflict and his efforts to recruit volunteers for International Legion, efforts the Ukrainian military sought to distance itself from on September 16th. Ruth would contact the International Legion with nonsensical ideas. Oleksandr Sharui, I don't even know how you pronounce that, doesn't matter, a representative officer of the Foreign Coordination Department of the Ukrainian Ground Forces Command, told the Associated Press, but Ruth had no connection to the group or the Ukrainian military in any form. In March 2023, Ruth told the New York Times about his plans to move, in some cases illegally, his Afghan soldier recruits from Pakistan to Ukraine. So he was wanting to move soldier recruits from Pakistan to Ukraine. We can probably purchase some passports through Pakistan since it's such a corrupt country, Ruth told the outlet. Ruth's now suspended X account contained numerous posts in support of Ukraine, NATO, and Taiwan. On August 10, 2023, he wrote his plans to create a Taiwan Foreign Legion to recruit Afghan fighters to defend the nation against the Chinese Communist Party. He also created a website for that purpose where he solicited applications. Voting records show that Ruth registered as an unaffiliated voter in North Carolina in 2012, recently voting in the state's Democratic presidential primary in March. Posts on X show that Ruth Trump in 2016, but his opinion of the former president appeared to have soured. Earlier this year, Ruth tagged Biden in a post X, quote, POTUS, your campaign should be called something like KADAF, Keep America Democratic and Free. Trump should be Massa, Make Americans slaves again, master. What? Democracy is on the ballot and we cannot lose. See, folks, this is what happens. Where do you think they got that? Where do you think this guy got that talking point? Where do you think he got this type of mindset? Well, when you have the leftist Pravda media every single day telling the American people how big of a threat Donald Trump is to democracy, even though he's already been in the White House, Donald Trump is no more a threat to democracy than the Democrats are. If anybody's a threat to democracy, it is the party that is constantly trying to censor its opposition, a party that's trying to remove its opposition off the ballot, a party that is constantly trying to use lawfare to persecute their political opponents, a party that has conducted a coup against a sitting president in order to replace him with a candidate that got no votes in the primary. If anybody's a threat to democracy, it is the Democrats. But this, again, is the leftist Pravda's only way of defeating Donald Trump, and that is accusing him of what they themselves are guilty of. It is a very, very evil, dark time in our country when we have a media. Like I said, all of this is the media's fault. We have a state-run media that really is the enemy of the people. They have become everything they claim to hate, and they have become the biggest threats to democracy. They don't even understand what democracy is. So Trump, in a Monday interview with Fox Digital, suggested that his Democratic opponents claims that he is a, quote, threat to democracy, were stoking political violence targeting him. Yes, I agree. In a statement released just after midnight on September 16th, Vice President Kamala Harris said that she was, quote, deeply disturbed by the apparent assassination attempt against her presidential opponent. Quote, as we gather the facts, I will be clear, I condemn political violence. We must all do our part to ensure that this incident does not lead to more violence, she said, adding that she was thankful that Trump was safe. I'm sure you are. President Joe Biden likewise said he was relieved Trump was unharmed. Well, why don't these two give him more damn Secret Service? Why is this guy not being protected like he should be? It's just insane, man. The guy already got shot once. I mean, is it not clear by now that they need to give this guy like 24/7, like presidential security because of their rhetoric? As I have said so many times, there is no place for political violence. I don't even care about this because it's all lies anyways. It's fake. All right, so that is the end of the article. Folks, I'm telling you right now, this is going to happen again. This will happen again, and I just hope that these psychopaths, these brainwashed sheep, these bootlickers of the leftist Pravda media and the Democrat Party don't actually get lucky one day, because it's most likely going to happen again. And I just hope his Secret Service is prepared. And this is something that I was actually thinking about. Why doesn't Eric Prince, the former CEO of Blackwater, why doesn't he volunteer his time and knowledge and his expertise to give Donald Trump private security? Just for the next 50 days, man. Go out there, bring your own security team. It's clear that you can't really trust this government at this point in time. I don't think anybody that's been paying attention for the last 8 years can trust anything out of this government. Not with what we've watched happen and what we've watched unfold the last 8 years. Donald Trump needs to get private security around him, and he needs to do it immediately. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris need to give the security Donald Trump deserves, that Donald Trump needs immediately, like today. But are they going to? No, because they don't actually care. I'm telling you, folks, these people are pissed off that Donald Trump is still alive. This is what we're dealing with. They have normalized assassination attempts against Donald Trump. This is what happens when you dehumanize somebody. And don't think it just stops with Donald Trump. After he's gone, it's going to be to the voters. Why? Because Trump voters, conservatives and Republicans, are not going to stop fighting for their country. They're not going to stop wanting secure borders. They're not going to stop wanting a good economy, cheaper gas and cheap groceries and low inflation. So I think Democrats are mistaken by thinking, oh, you just have to get rid of Donald Trump and all this is going to stop. Donald Trump is not the disease. He is a symptom of all this. The American people are pissed off, and they're using Donald Trump as their voice. This is where Donald Trump came in at the exact right time. That is it. Donald Trump is a good leader. He proved himself to be a good leader. And the American people, his supporters, his voters, they want to use him as their voice to fight back against a system that has been kicking them in the teeth for the last 10, 15, 20 years. So voting for Donald Trump to these people is like giving the government the biggest middle finger they can find. And so if you think this is going to stop because Donald Trump is gone, it's not. The Trump voters are going to continue wanting secure borders and cheap groceries and cheap gas, so which means the leftist Pravda media is not going to stop either. And they're going to start dehumanizing the regular Trump voters. And then you're going to have something like, oh, I don't know, like a concentration camp or re-education camps is what they'll call them. This ain't going to stop. Okay, it doesn't just stop with one person. It's not like all this ends with Donald Trump. So they need to get it out of their head that with or without Donald Trump, the American people are pissed off and they want their country back. And they see their country being stripped away from them by the globalist elites that are tearing families apart, that are crippling their economy with inflation because of government spending, because the federal government's no longer ran by elected representatives, but an oligarchy of a handful of rich ruling class elites, and they know it. You're talking about a half of the country that has unplugged themselves from this matrix. And if you think Donald Trump is the reason for that, you are mistaken. These people, They want their country back. And they see Donald Trump as their best hope at getting it back. But it doesn't mean they're going to stop after he's gone. Of course they're going to keep going. So that's going to lead to the Pravda media, the Democrats, the leftist progressives, starting to target regular voters. I guarantee it, folks. I'm telling you. But my theory on all this is my theory. This is what I was thinking about today. And I wrote all this down in notes today. My theory is that the establishment is testing people's reaction to a Trump assassination. So somebody came to me and, they were talking about the Trump assassination. They were like, do you think it was an inside job? And I said, listen, if it was an inside job, Donald Trump would be dead. Because, trust me, we have a lot better snipers than these two people that tried shooting Donald Trump. So if they wanted a professional assassin out there that works for the federal government, that topples entire countries, they would have done it. But what I think may be happening is I think they're testing the waters of a Trump assassination. So in other words, I think they're trying to test the reactions out of people to see if they could actually get away with hiring a professional assassin to take out Donald Trump. And then that's when they're going to do it. So they're basically trying to see, okay, how is the public going to react if Donald Trump was really assassinated? Almost like COVID was kind of like this workup, with all the censorship we've seen, with all the lies and misrepresentation. It's almost as if COVID was like a test run for what we're going through now, for the elitist globalists to kind of run roughshod over our elections, to kind of brainwash people, to use the media as a tool to essentially bring on a bunch of brown shirt bootlickers, man. That's what I think they're trying to do. So that's just something I thought about today. I don't know. I just feel like there's something deeper going on here. Could these be completely two random people that were consumed with Trump derangement syndrome because they listen to Rachel Maddow and Joe and Mika every morning, and they listen to MSNBC and CNN 24/7? They could be. I don't think they're professional hitmen for the federal government, or else Donald Trump wouldn't be here. But I just feel like there's something deeper going on here, man. It's because for the last year and a half that they've been persecuting Donald Trump, people are not, like, the shock value's gone. So, like, people are not surprised with what the Democrats are going to do next. So, like, just when you think Democrats and the leftist media have gone low, they surprise us every time. It's like every single time they do something, like with Kamala Harris the other night during the debate, for her to have the goal to come out on that stage and repeat the fine people on both sides lie, and to repeat the bloodbath lie that she did, and the media not fact check them, it's like the entire country's seen that was a rigged debate. That was a drive-by Soviet-style show debate where they allowed Kamala Harris to lie blatantly to the American people, to manipulate them, and the moderators who were supposed to be fact-checking, which, by the way, gave the wrong fact checks on Donald Trump and didn't fact-check Kamala Harris one time, insinuating that Kamala Harris didn't lie. But that was so shocking to people that they actually sat back and watched a rigged debate and Kamala Harris blatantly lie about stuff that is provably false. Nothing they do surprises me anymore. Nothing. And so it wouldn't surprise me. This is where you get all these conspiracy theories. It's like people are not, like, surprised. I wish I could pinpoint it. I can't really get it off. Like, it's there. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is. But essentially, it's like people come out with these conspiracy theories because nothing surprises them anymore. So when somebody comes to them and says, yeah, they're going to try and kill Donald Trump, normally you would be like, no way. They're trying to assassinate a former president and current candidate? No way. But now people are like, well, I mean, we have seen a lot of stuff that is unprecedented, that is completely crossing the Rubicon. We watched a vice president get coronated as the presidential candidate without any primary votes, skipping the entire process. Like, so nothing shocks them anymore. So when you come up with these theories, some people believe them. And listen, they could be true, man. They could be freaking true. But you know what? I wanted to actually get into... I can't do it. We've spent too much time. Anyways, all right. So that's the update with what is going on with this with the shooter. I want to get in. I'm gonna have to do a whole nother segment on. I wanted to get into this stupid hit piece about Donald Trump. This whole dogs and cats thing. It's like, it's so disgusting to me that the only thing the media and Democrats got out of that debate was Donald Trump talking about Haitians eating dogs and cats in Springfield, Ohio. Like, that's what you got out of the debate? No. It's the media is using that as a negative piece. What has been going on in Springfield, Ohio has been going on for a long time. And the media has not given it any attention. It hasn't reported on it one time. The only time they're going to report on anything from here on out is if it looks negative towards Donald Trump. We have a actual state-run media that has picked a side, and it has picked the Democrats, the leftists, the elites. They have officially become state-run media, trying to get candidates across the finish line. They're actively lying for Kamala Harris. They're allowing her to evade interviews. They're giving her multiple choice questions for the one interview that they've got. It's so insane what we're watching. And so it's like, I just want to get into this whole thing. Because there is, besides the Donald Trump dogs and cats thing, which, by the way, when you have eyewitnesses coming out and saying that people are eating their pets, that to me is pretty verifiable evidence, is it not? It could be used in a court, a murder trial. That is called an eyewitness testimony. So for the media to come out and say this is completely false, have they not learned their lesson about Donald Trump and how many times he's been right on this stuff? Every single time the media comes out and says Donald Trump's lying about something, he ends up being vindicated 6 months to a year later. So do they really want to go down this road and calling Donald Trump a liar for saying that Haitian immigrants, some of them could be eating dogs and cats? What happens if 6 months down the road we find out that they have been eating dogs and cats and people's pets? Is the media going to come out and apologize? No, because we've seen this over and over and over again. It is the same damn strategy, the same damn thing every single time. They accuse Donald Trump of lying, then 6 months later, it ends up being true. They don't apologize. They don't come back and correct their stories. They don't come back and correct their articles. They did the same thing with the Hunter Biden laptop. Donald Trump came out on the stage and said, what about the laptop from hell that's got all this corruption and all your family's corruption on this laptop? They called him a liar. They said it's not verifiable. They said it was Russian disinformation. And what happened? 6 months later, he was vindicated. We all were, but not until after the election. This is what these people do. We have a media that is actively working for the government. It's state-run media. This is the type of stuff that you see in a failed state nation. So I just wanted to update you with the latest from the shooter. That's what we know so far. We know that he had ceramic tile plates in his backpack. We talked about that last night. That is like a poor man's body armor, if you want to call it that. It will stop small rounds from handguns, not long rifles. So I wanted to correct myself. I said that ceramic tiles can be used for body armor, and it's a poor man's body armor, and I wouldn't trust it, but it will stop small calibers like 9mm, 380, 40, 45, but it's not going to stop any rifle ammo. So depending on what the Secret Service had, those backpacks that he had tiles in may have prevented him from getting shot. We don't know the details yet, but that's, I wanted to mention that. The SKS rifle is a very weird rifle to use. They're not very common. They are common, but usually when something like this, it's going to be an AR-15 or some type of AR platform. So I found it very weird that this guy was using an SKS. That is something that they use over in Europe. That is a European gun. That's a foreign gun. The AK-47 platform is not an American rifle. That is a Russian rifle. I think his name is Kalashnikov, was the guy that created the AK-47, the SKS variant. and so on and so forth. There's like a ton of different variants. But this is what kind of threw up red flags, is why was this guy using this particular rifle? How did he get the rifle is what I want to know. And if we actually want answers to this, then I suggest Ron DeSantis, the state of Florida needs to do its own investigation. Because if it's up to the FBI, we're not going to get any answers to this. We still don't have answers for Pennsylvania. We don't have answers for the election. We don't have answers for January 6th. So why do we keep giving the FBI, one of the most corrupt federal police agencies in the entire system? Like, how many chances are we going to give the FBI before we're like, okay, yeah, the FBI's broken. It's completely politicized. It is a waste of time and a waste of money. But yet we keep giving the FBI chance after chance after chance. The FBI's not going to get to the bottom of this. Do we know how cocaine got into the White House yet? No. That's because it's all a sham, folks. All of our federal agencies have been politicized. So if we want to get answers, I suggest Ron DeSantis, if you just so happen to be listening to this man, you're going to have to create your own investigation on this. It's the only way the American people are going to get answers. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be talking to you here in a little bit. I'm going to come back with this other segment talking about the cats and dogs issue and all the stuff and research that I got for that. I dug in deep on this, and I kind of want to point out the Great Replacement Theory. You know, the Great Replacement Theory, where they called us conspiracy theorists for talking about it? It's actually happening in real life. You have mayors, you have people openly coming out, including celebrities, openly talking about replacing Americans. And what do you call that? The Great Replacement Theory. And it's not just me. I have articles where these people are talking about how the illegal immigrants are better than Americans, all of it, folks. So I want to get into that, and I want to call out the hypocrisy from the celebrities, more notably John Legend. I think it's disgusting what he did. And so we're going to get into it on the next segment. I don't even have time to get into it now. It's too late. So I'll talk to you guys here in a little bit. As always, I want you guys to have a good day. Have a great week. God bless you. God bless America, and long live the Republic. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.